Now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hey everyone, it is Brian Kaz here. Welcome to another Webfire marketing webinar. On this one, we're basically doing a bunch of like business and site analyses and stuff. A lot of you have sent in your sites or your businesses to basically get our insights on. So we thank you for those that have done that. We sent out an email on that, I think like a few days back or so, asking for some volunteers. We got quite a bit, so we can't go through all of them because we definitely wouldn't have enough time. We probably have enough submissions to actually do several calls. So we'll keep some for a future call. But what I tried to basically do is I found that like of the handful of ones that I'll show up here, a lot of them have similarities. So there's like there's like 3 or 4 of you that sent in comparable opt-in pages where you're oftentimes in like different markets, but the mistakes being made are usually the exact same. So even if yours isn't shown, live here, I try to make it so all the tips basically given will probably apply to everyone. And if by chance, you want, additional input or help or anything like that, you can always reach out to our support, or even better, you can even post it on our free Facebook group as well, which I will give you the link to that in just a minute here. We have a slide on that, but that's just getwebfire.com/FB group, and that is completely free to join. And if by chance you missed last week's call, that was a very, very good one. So, or at least we got a lot of good feedback on that. So I assume you guys thought it was a very, very good one. And that one was basically 3 things that you can do to basically jumpstart Webfire and basically get it to start making money for you. So if by chance you missed that or any of the prior calls, you can always go to the members area, and on the left side nav bar, just basically click on the training, then click on the Wednesday calls, and you'll see last week's call at the very top. And also, if you just log into the members area, there is a little news post at the very top that has the latest, essentially calls and stuff there as well. So you don't even have to click on the training if you don't want, but make sure to check out that if that's something of interest to you. At 11. And if you're here or you're registered for this series, you'll get a reminder before each call, so you don't forget. But if by chance you miss, any of our trainings, or you want to see a past training, we do record all of these. You can just again go into the members area and click on the training tab to see all the past calls. You can also search by keyword, and we usually have essentially like a bulletin then at the very top of the members area for the latest calls and such there as well. Now, as a side note, I do know there are a handful of you that are new this week. I also know there's a lot of regulars on this call as well. But for those that are new, these calls are typically focused more on the marketing and basically techniques with Webfire tools instead of just like how to use X tool. And that's because we already have like walkthroughs and tutorials in the members area. So we don't want to waste basically people's time, because it's like if you can watch a 5-minute walkthrough on how a tool works, it's probably good to basically do, whereas these calls focus on how to like market with them, or how to make more money, or how to like make your business better, stuff like that. So it gets basically better use of everyone's time there. But of course, if ever you're stuck or anything like that, again, just feel free to reach out to us at support@webfire.com, or log into the members area and you'll see a support tab. And if you want a chance to win $100, make sure that you join our free Facebook group right here. If you're not already a free member, just go to getwebfire.com/FB group, and we'll have some instructions towards the end of this call on how you can win $100 live on this call. We'll actually do the drawing live in just a bit. Now we can move on to the training for this week, where we'll review and basically give insights on several sites and businesses that you all sent in. And again, as I said, we apologize if if you sent one in and we don't get to yours, because there was a lot of them, but we'll save some for a future call. But all the info and all the tips we'll give here definitely will apply to almost all of you. And you can always basically post up your site and ask for suggestions in the Facebook group as well. And we're very responsive there as well. So lots of opportunity to get additional help. So for the quick overview, we'll do the analyses, and then we'll have a brief Q&A if there's any questions, and then we'll do the cash giveaway. So moving on to the demo, or essentially the business analyses, I'm going to pause the screen for a second as I switch on over. All right. All right, so just going to pull up a couple sites here that were sent in, just to make sure I have the right ones here. That one, and all right. Okay. All right, so here's one that you should see right now. You should see my screen here. So there's a couple of sites like this, and I'll show off. There's this one, and there's also this guy right here. These are basically opt-in pages. Now there's a lot of you that sent in similar opt-in pages and such in different markets. This one is like a consulting or internet marketing type one, whereas this one right here is more of like a music and apparel. And they all have like a couple, I think, fairly common mistakes. And that is right here. Anytime you have an opt-in page, your goal is to what? Is to get a lead, or essentially a prospect. So you want to make it super easy to do so, and you want to make it super, super clear. And here you have, like, I'd say 3/4 of the screen is a big blank area that, like, where does your eye go to? The first, then it probably sees this right here, which just says creating fresh ideas for success. Well, that doesn't tell me much of anything. Like, I don't know why that's relevant to me. I mean, sure, ideas are cool, but it's not a clear and concise message. Whereas I scroll down here and I see what you're trying to do. You want to get me to sign up to your list right here. And you say, hey, how I can learn how to basically make a lot of money or increase basically the cash flow. And you basically ask it as like a question, like, hey, want to learn how, blah, blah. Well, you don't really say what I get. You say, I mean, sure, it'd be nice to, learn how, but I don't still quite know why I'm giving you my info. And as a side note, anytime you ask for a name as well as an email address, your opt-in rate or your conversion rate actually goes down a bit versus if you just ask for like an email address. So if you're using all that info, okay. But if you don't really care what the person's name is, I would just ask for an email, because your conversion rates will actually go up a bit. And if you ask for a lot more, like if you ask for like a name, an email, a website, a paragraph about them, and a bunch of other stuff, the conversion rate basically drops way down. But I would basically make this much more clear and precise on what they get and why they should give you their email address. Like maybe, you could say, hey, enter your email below to get my step-by-step guide on how almost anyone can increase their sales from X to Y in X amount of time, with simple step-by-step instructions, or something along those lines there. Or maybe even say, enter your email to see how we increase the sales of this person or this company right here, step by step. So kind of like a case study almost, or something that I'd find, basically interesting. Like I say, well, it would be kind of interesting to see how you basically took someone from zero to, let's say, $10,000 a month, or how you took someone from, 100,000 to $1 million. Like, I'd be curious to know, like, what the step-by-step things that you did were. So I could be signing up to get the case study on that right there. I'd also make sure that the, essentially the message and the text is like one of the first things you see if it's like an opt-in page right there. The rest of the stuff, is okay, but for an opt-in page, the main thing for sure is you want to focus on just that. The more distractions you have, the less likely people are to basically opt in, versus they are to read a lot of other stuff. And the problem I found is that the more stuff you have, you might think it makes you look better, but oftentimes it actually hurts more, because people will find any excuse, not to take action, whether it be sign up, whether for a free list, whether it be buying stuff. So like if you ask them a simple question, it's usually like a yes or no, essentially. Like, hey, do you want this guide that will basically teach you this? They'll sign up if that's the only option they have. But if you have like a bunch of other links and a bunch of other info, they read this stuff and then they're like, oh, well, I don't really like how this looks. I don't really like the blog post that he wrote here. Yeah, I don't really like that. And, the more you have like that, oftentimes the more, or the less likely it is for someone to sign up. So just something to keep in mind. Now, of course, when it comes to ranking sites, obviously you want to have like more contents and stuff like that. But if you're just posting up an opt-in page on like social media or to an email list of yours, or through like a paid ad, less is usually more there. So that's the main thing there. And similar to the other opt-in page here, again, completely different niche, but similar issue where, right here at the very top, like, I don't know that this is an opt-in page yet. Like, I have to scroll all the way down here to realize it's an opt-in page. And there's nothing at the top here that really tells me what this is. Like, you have a logo, looks nice, sure. You have a name, cool. But it's like, it doesn't really tell me what to do or what the benefit is for me. Even when I scroll down at the halfway point, I still don't know what you want me to do. It's not until I scroll to the very bottom that's like, oh, he wants me to opt in here. So you'll lose a lot of people because they don't have a clear message. So you want to maybe change around the top right here. Is if this is used as an opt-in page, you want to make sure that you have a clear call to action right there. Same thing here, like, if you don't use the name, I would just have an email. I like how the freebie they get here, and you mentioned exactly what they get, which is good. But I also would say what the benefits are to joining the list, or even just say, hey, enter your email below to get a free copy of Radio's single Sunny Days, something like that for free. Because if you say join an email list, the first thought they have is, oh wait, well, why exactly do you want me on this list? Will I get like tons and tons and tons of promos every day, or what? Whereas if you just say, hey, enter your email below to get blah blah blah, and then as well as, like, if you want to say like other freebies or news or updates, that's fine after the fact, but have the main essentially draw be at the very start, which in this case would be the single there. The other thing too is that this would probably be like a great opportunity to maybe have like a short essentially clip of the song or something, or give some, because like if they don't know you, they might not even know why they'd want that song, or like maybe say get his most popular single, Sunny Days, or give people a reason to basically want to check that out. Because like right now, I wouldn't know what that song is. I mean, maybe your prospects do. I'm guessing that most don't. I mean, I don't know a reason why I would want that. So give them a reason to basically want that. And if memory serves on this one, you're selling, music and also apparel and stuff on the back end. So make sure to maybe mention a bit about that too. Like mention that they'll get, special deals from other upcoming artists and, the latest, fashion apparel or whatever it might be right there. I mean, Sean, what's your thought in terms of the 2 opt-in pages so far and any other tips and such?
Well, I think everything you've said is really good. I think that, one of the things that you got to always think about when you're looking at a website is what is it you want people to do when they show up? I mean, not, and then pretend that you've never been on your website before. One of the most common things we hear from people is, hey, it's obvious, everybody knows this. Well, see, that's the thing, not everybody knows this, and you should have it be super simple, whether you're going for an opt-in, you want someone to click on a specific link, you want someone to watch a video, whatever you want people to do should be really, really obvious. It should be kind of like, okay, there's only one thing that would be obvious to do here. It's, you should call me on the telephone, or you should watch my video, or you should do this, right? And not have it be confusing in any way. The other thing, of course, is we're looking at this on a desktop, is you also want to make sure that your pages look good on mobile. So in this case, you'd want to make sure that it was really obvious it was an opt-in form on a mobile device, on a phone, on a tablet, whatever, because so many people are going to be accessing your site that way. And if they've got to keep scrolling and it isn't obvious what to do, they're just going to hit the back button or hit the close button, and that's going to be it.
And that's a huge thing now. I mean, now more so than like years back, a lot of the traffic is on the mobile side. Like people that wake up in the morning and they're basically browsing from the phone or whatever. And you want to make sure that like any opt-in page, especially, is mobile friendly, and that they don't have to scroll down like what seems like basically ages to see an opt-in. So always make sure on that. And what Sean was saying, how like you want to make it crystal clear what they're basically getting or why they should sign up. Think of it a lot like there's an old marketing tip that essentially says the more options you give, the less likely a person is to buy. And the best analogy of that is, think of like a 3-year-old at an ice cream shop. Okay, if you went up to a 3-year-old and said, hey, do you want some free ice cream? What would a 3-year-old say? Any guesses? They'd say, sure, I'll have some free ice cream. And that's that, right? Whereas if you go up to a 3-year-old and say, hey, do you want some, or which of these ice creams do you want right here? Do you want any of these free? And you list out like 30 flavors. What do most 3-year-olds do? They stare for like what seems like basically eternity. And they're like, I'm not sure which one do I want? And adults are kind of the same way. And what could have been like an easy sale of, hey, do you want free ice cream, turns into a harder one where they have to think about it now because they're not sure which one they want. And even more so with like adults, the more options you give them, not only do they take longer and they start to think about it, but then they start to zone out and they might go elsewhere, and then they forget about that opt-in page, they forget about that offer you had, all because like they weren't quite sure which one they want. So again, the more options you basically give them, the less likely they are to sign up. And also with that, the more distractions you give them, the less likely they are to sign up. Basically going back to the 3-year-old, if you offered the free ice cream and then a minute later said, oh, or we also have, free Skittles, free, gum, free, basically cake, all of a sudden they're like, oh, do I want this instead? Oh, do I want that? And they might leave that main thing that you wanted them to do initially. So just keep that in mind there. Going to the next example here. And guys, with all the opt-in pages, I find that like probably 95% of them have the same issues there. And Sean and I have basically tested this a lot, and we've had opt-in pages that look really, really, really nice and have like a lot of info and look really awesome. Like looks like you spent like thousands of dollars on it, completely tank in conversion rates next to like old school opt-in pages that look like they're from the 90s, that look like complete basically crap that you'd almost be embarrassed to basically have, but they have a simple message like a headline, maybe an image, and like an opt-in, and that's it. And like 9 times out of 10, those win every time because it has a simple message, even though in a lot of the cases they don't have to be nice looking or anything like that. So it really hits home there. The next example I have here is this one right here. It's an internet marketing college, basically, that has a bunch of courses. And I know there's a lot of you that sell stuff similar to this, whether it be it's like yours or like affiliate stuff and all that. And you see this right here, and then you have all these different courses right here. And this is fine to basically give you some authority and say, hey, look, you have a bunch of cool stuff here, a bunch of courses. The site looks nice, has like a lot of decent info, has social proof, which is always good. I like that all so far. But one of the huge things right here is, again, I think it could likely have like some kind of a call to action rather than just learn more. And on top of that, a lot of you that sell like a bunch of courses, keep in mind, most people that basically come to you come with specific needs or specific wants. Not a lot say, yeah, I'm generally interested in all things marketing. Let's see what you have for sale. Oh yeah, you have all sorts of stuff here. I'll take this one and that one. Very few are like that. The majority of the time, it's more like, man, I don't know how to rank on Google. Let's see if there's a good SEO course on it. Or man, I heard that advertising on Facebook is really good. Let's see if there's any software or like a course or something I can learn on just that. So rather than like trying to market all of them at once, I would market these individually as well, which, in this case, you just click on any of these, I think, right here. And you could basically push essentially traffic, just to, one, instead of trying to market, the general thing right here. The other thing that you could do as well is you could try to like basically build a funnel based upon related courses. So like if we, like I think I saw there was a Facebook chat bot in there. There also was Facebook marketing and also Google AdWords. All those are somewhat related. Like if you're looking to market on Facebook, you're probably into paid ads and stuff like that. So you're probably also into basically Google, or at least you could be into it. And with that as well, potentially you could also say, hey, maybe they'd be interested in Facebook chat bots if they're doing paid ads, and maybe they're also interested in how to do like a webinar off of like Facebook or Google traffic and stuff like that. So there's a few of those that you can kind of basically build into a funnel. And what you want to do in a case like that is usually have the front end offer be something free or very, very cheap, and then try to like upsell them into the rest, of the courses. Like, hey, like your freebie could be like a basic opt-in page that says, hey, learn how basically chat bots, can, help you make a lot more money off your Facebook ads. And you could have like a free video that just gives like a handful of info on how that stuff can help, or give like a case study about how like a business started to use that and made a lot more. And then have like an upsell like, hey, would you want to buy the full course on how you can use this? Or hey, would you want some software that basically does this? And then hey, while you're learning to do all this stuff, would you like a master class in Facebook marketing? Or, hey, if you're interested in Facebook marketing, would you like to also see how you can get Google AdWords working for you with less of a headache compared to like having accounts shut down on Facebook and all this other crap? So you can kind of build that stuff into like a funnel of your own right there that gives you an easier time to like market to specific wants and needs, like those that are just thinking that they're interested in Facebook marketing, or are just basically interested in SEO or something like that. Kind of like if you have, like I oftentimes give this example right here. If you have 2 courses, okay, or let's say you have a problem, like let's say you have arm flab, okay, so you have like a flappy arm, and you go to Google and you're like, hey, how do I get rid of fatty flappy arms, or whatever problem you might have there. And if there's 2 courses out there, one course is $37 and is specifically on how to lose arm fat, okay, so it's just on how to lose arm fat. And let's say you're looking to lose arm fat or get rid of flappy arms or whatever it might be. You see a course specifically on that. It's 20 pages long, and it's specifically on just that right there. And it's basically the 20 or like $30 or whatever I said. Meanwhile, you see another another course that's only $7, and it's 100 pages long, and it covers all sorts of weight loss tips for like everything you could possibly want, like weight loss of basically arms, to lose arm fat and lose the flappy arms, also weight loss around the stomach and the chin, and like basically everything. And it's 100 pages long, so it's like 5 times as long, and it's a fraction of the price. It's only $7 compared to $30. If the person is searching for how to lose arm fat or arm flab, which one do you think they buy? The more expensive one that's shorter, that's specifically marketed basically towards them, or the one that contains all that info but is much larger and contains a bunch of other info and marketed towards anyone that wants to lose fat as a whole? Well, 9 times out of 10, people will spend a lot more to have that specific need of theirs for sure addressed and fixed. So they'll spend more to buy the shorter guide. So when you market stuff, you want to realize that, hey, if you have access to all these cool products here and all these things that you can sell, what can you do to basically make separate funnels from there, or to basically drive traffic to specific ones there? So that's one thing that I would do right there. And then the other thing that I would make sure to do is anytime you have a bunch of stuff like this mentioned, and I can give another example. In fact, I'll show it off as like another site later. There was one site that sold like hoses and stuff, and they had like a bunch of different ones like right here, like different basically kinds of hoses. Anytime you have like many like products or services within a site, you want to make sure that each of those products or each of those courses or whatever kind of have their own page within your site, and that you basically optimize those pages specifically for those services or those products to try to get ranked. For instance, if you're a lawyer, okay, and let's say you're a lawyer in London, okay, or some area around there. Instead of just trying to rank for like London lawyer, I think there it's called solicitors, but instead of like trying to rank for a term like that, like let's say you're a lawyer but you do like a lot of maybe real estate law, you do immigration law, and you do bankruptcy law, or like pick whatever 3 or so. Let's say you specialize in those few right there, rather than have a single page where you list all your services and that's basically it. You could have a separate page for each service that you basically do, where you basically target words like bankruptcy, lawyer, London, UK, and then immigration attorney, London, UK, some term like that, where you kind of narrow it down and you give and you basically give yourself a much greater chance of ranking for all those separate keywords and such there. And if you have a page specifically about each of those, in the eyes of Google, they're much more likely to rank you because they know someone searching for, let's say, like an immigration attorney is more likely to want to land on a page all about, you being an immigration attorney. So that's just some stuff to keep in mind right here. So if ever you want to try to rank any then where you have like a bunch of products, make sure that each one individually is ranked as well. Sean, did you have any thoughts on this one before we move on to another one? And I know as we basically talked about, maybe have more of like an opt-in page here and maybe make like separate offers or funnels for these individually instead of trying to drive to just like a main page or main offer for all of them.
Right, and that brings up a question that Sue had that relates to this, which is, when we have opt-in pages, are they part of a full site? Do they stand alone? That was question number one, and the answer is they can be either. I mean, generally we've got our opt-in pages on sites that have other content as well, but the more important question related to that was, how do we get traffic to the opt-in page? And the answer to that is, obviously, you could buy traffic, of course, that goes straight to an opt-in page, and we often do that. But if you want to get free traffic to it, you're not going to be able to. Brian talked about this with the first example. You're generally not going to be able to get the page to rank because there's no content. When someone goes and searches in Google for information about online marketing, they're not interested. They know the people searching are not interested in going to a squeeze page that says opt in here. They're interested in finding content about internet marketing, right? So depending upon what your niche is, you want to have content on your website related to the niche that you're in, and you can figure out which keywords to target and everything else using Webfire. There's all kinds of training in there and keyword tools that'll tell you, where to focus and where to start to get the fastest rankings. But the key is that you would have, the content that gets ranked, that gets free traffic, and then on those content pages, like on a blog, for example, you can have your promos, references. You can have an opt-in form on there, of course, but you can also, have a link that says, to get our free X, free book, free video, free training, 7 secret steps to taking over the universe without actually trying, whatever it might be, click here, and that takes them to the squeeze page, and that's how you get free traffic to the squeeze page to get people to opt in for free. Brian?
Yeah, and I just saw that there was another question here on, is there any way to like make sites mobile friendly without redoing everything? Well, yeah, there's lots of other solutions out there, including I don't know the names of them all offhand, but there's ways where you can have basically a way where when a visitor hits your site can know instantly if they're from like a mobile phone or like a browser, or if they're from like a desktop. And if they're on the mobile side, you can switch the format automatically to basically the mobile version of that site. So there's definitely lots of ways of doing that. I don't have that information in front of me right now, but on like a future call, we definitely can talk about that and mention that. But if you just basically Google like how to make a mobile version of your site easily, there's like lots of easy solutions out there, and a lot of like blog platforms and stuff like that now are like moving to automatically do that stuff, on your behalf without you having to basically do anything now. All right. All right. Moving on to another. Oh, and we had a quick question here on how someone can make an opt-in page. Well, there's lots of solutions out there. Like there's lots of templates out there. There's lots of like services out there to basically do that. You know, it'd probably be if you're brand new and like you don't have any site and you have an interest in landing pages and stuff like that. You know, if you basically Google like landing page templates or landing page maker, there's a lot of solutions out there that can help. You know, with all that right there. And again, on a future call, we can maybe talk a bit more about that. All right, I'm going to pause the screen for a second as I go to one of the other ones here. All right. Here's one that I thought was an interesting one. So it was a cash rebate offer in Malaysia, I think, for basically buying a car. Now, here's what I like and don't like. I think there's potential in the offer, but it's kind of a bit vague and a bit kind of like confusing. Like you say, hey, you pay up to 70% of the purchase price of your car as like, or they pay you back up to 70% of the purchase price of your car in the form of like a rebate. So it is confusing. So like a lot of people right now would probably think, well, wait, how? So how can you possibly, you know, if I buy, let's say, you know, a $100,000 car, how can, you know, I basically get $70,000 back? It doesn't quite make sense. And that's something that you'll like if I said this to everyone on this call right now, everyone would probably have almost the exact same thought. And that's like, sounds too good to be true there. What's the catch? So with that, you want to make sure you easily explain almost immediately how that's done, what the catch is, or like what, you know, not necessarily all the fine print of it, but like how basically is that, you know, done. And it could be a video you have here. It could be like even some quick bullet points, something along those lines right now. I mean, and I'm not sure, like maybe you're talking about like a lease, like if they put like, let's say $4,000 down on a lease, maybe there's like an offer you have where they get like up to 70% of the down payment of the lease back. Like it's not very clear. So like, you know, that's why you really need to like explain that first. And again, you talk a little bit about how they can put like, you know, a certain percent down, then keep the rest on like a rebate. It's confusing as to exactly like what it is and how it works. And you know, you have all this info here, but it's not till like, you know, the very, very, very bottom that you say that they can book an appointment, and that's kind of scary. You know, imagine if you wanted to find out more information, and the only thing that you saw was an option to book an appointment. Immediately you think, hey, it's either like a major catch, or it's really expensive. And if you're not sure it's for you, you just leave. Because like, imagine if I was selling, I don't know, let's say software, and I didn't give you the details of what it did. If I just said, hey, this software can help you get traffic, and I say, hey, this software is great, it can help you get lots of traffic, I don't give you any other info or details, and then I have a button that says, click to book an appointment. What's your first thought? And your second thought? Let's see what you guys say. All right. Looks like you guys are saying, you know, your first thought is it's really, really expensive. And your second thought is, you know, you have, it looks like most of you are saying essentially doubts on if it will work, or confusion as to what that offer might be. And yeah, or that it could be a scam because they don't have the details there, or it's clickbait, or let's see, yeah, so lots of you are all on the same page right there. So either you think it's a scam, either you think it's like clickbait and they'll sell something else, or you think it's really, really expensive. And on top of that too, a lot of people don't like to talk to what they assume is like a salesman. Like when I buy a car, I like basically dread when like the salesman walks out and I have to talk to one. It's like I try to avoid it at all costs. Like, okay, I just want to browse and look to see like what I liked first, and then I like to basically go to the sales guy and get more information if so. And a lot of people are kind of the same way. So like if you force them to make an appointment before they get any info, that scares away probably the majority of people. And especially when you have an offer that almost seems too good to be true, a lot of people just assume, hey, it's probably not, and they just leave. So you need some more info on how this works. And you might have like a really awesome way, like it might be that maybe basically cars like really expensive in Malaysia, because I know there's a couple places over there where they are insanely expensive, and there might be loopholes to basically get them for a lot less. I don't know. It might be a lease program where because you know, dealerships and stuff make money off the lease itself. Like maybe there's like something where you know, they get like a rebate on the down payment or something. And again, I'm not sure what the details are, and because I'm unsure, you're probably going to lose me. Now, you know, I like the general idea of it, and without basically knowing what the product or the service is, you know, I think you'd lose a lot. So I'd say basically dumb down the whole thing right here, give an explanation of how it works and why it works, and then have a simple opt-in. Also probably move your opt-in more towards like at least the middle or towards the top. Like I'd say even like right here, like even have like an opt-in to get more information, because like if someone's interested, they don't see that they can even have a call to action until the very bottom there, whereas you ideally want one to be among the first things that they see. So that's just a few things off the top of my head right there. I mean, Sean, I'm not sure if you have any thoughts. Of course, you know, on top of all this, you still could also do like you know, the standard, you know, SEO stuff, like make sure that you're, you know, optimized for, you know, related local terms in Malaysia and stuff. And you can also do stuff on social media. I mean, there's lots of things that you can do to drive, you know, basically traffic there. Like you can write a bunch of articles or videos on how they can save a ton of money on cars, because there's always people looking for basically deals and stuff. So there's a lot of content that you could submit out there to get ranked or show up on social media, on, you know, on the free side or on basically paid ads. There's lots of different ways that you could drive basically traffic there, but I feel like you have to fix up the main page right here before you go into the other stuff. But once you do that, I think you could have a great offer if you know, you have a program that works here. So Sean, what's your thought on that? I assume similar?
Well, yeah, it's similar, and I don't know if you saw a whole bunch of people immediately, you know, when you started showing that, were posting up in the Q&A box that, you know, oh my gosh, this is a scam. This is you know, later, goodbye. I'm not even going to look at this thing. You know, I mean, a lot of people really thought that it was, you know, immediately looking at it, that was a scam, and you could see why people would, of course, you know. I'm not saying that it is, but when it's something sounds so good, like way too good to be true, like you can buy a, you know, $100,000 car and we'll give you $70,000 back, right? Like, I would like to do that. I also don't believe that here in America that's ever going to happen, or, you know, it would have already happened and I'd know about it. So if there's a reason why that is, you'll want to immediately be able to go, you know, say something almost to the effect of, I know it sounds like a scam, but here's why it, you know, here's why it isn't, and here's why it works, and here's, you know, this happy guy with his holding his $70,000 check, or whatever the, you know, the numbers would be, and the currency that's being used in Malaysia. But it's definitely going to throw up red flags when you're like, you know, hey, you know, get a free house. Well, you know, I have trouble believing that, right? But if there's a reason why it's free, you need to address that right away when people get to the page, because otherwise they're just going to click away right away thinking that it's a scam without giving you the chance to explain why it really is an awesome deal.
Yeah, and it reminds me of an offer I saw, oh gosh, probably like a year ago, and I thought it was a pretty good one, and it's a popular one, or at least was. They had like a lot of Facebook ads and stuff like that, and it basically was how to get paid to basically drive fancy cars. And it was like not just like nice cars, but like fancy ones, like, you know, Lamborghinis and stuff like that, like ones that were well over $100,000. Some several hundred thousand. And you see that, and what's everyone's first thought? Is, okay, yeah, right. So you're saying I could basically get a Lamborghini for free or get paid, but it piques your interest a little bit because you're like, I wonder how this is the case. And you click that. What they immediately did, which I thought was a good thing, is they explained pretty quickly how it was kind of done. And the process that they basically said, or they hinted at how it was done, and then you had to sign up. You had to sign up for like a free opt-in to like learn exactly how. But they hint at, hey, there's certain cars that because the resale values, they can not go down a ton, and you can make a lot more off these. And then after you sign up, you learn pretty fast what they basically were implying, that hey, if there's a $200,000 car, they drop in value, pretty fast. But ones that are like several years old, like once they're like 5 years old or something like that, they don't drop down in value a ton more. So like a super nice car that's like five years old, of these like really fancy kinds, already lost the majority of their value. So if you basically buy the $200,000 car for like now, let's say 70,000, they say it maintains the value a super long time, and in some cases can even go up a little bit as they start to become more rare. And it explained the whole process there, and how like, hey, at the very least, you don't lose a lot of value, because if it's like 5 years old versus 6 years old versus 7, they tend to resell for about the same according to them. And in some cases, as they become more rare, it goes up a bit. And on top of that, they'll say, hey, here's ways where you can like rent these out for like up to like $1,000 a day, and make all this back right here. And it's like, it starts to like make sense. And you're like, oh, well, I guess that kind of does make sense. So it's not like I literally get a car for free and I get basically paid, but that kind of makes sense now, and it piques your interest a little bit. And I thought that was like a clever job. But what they did that you don't do is that they say pretty quickly, they at least either tell you or hint at how it's basically possible. All right, so I'm gonna pause this as we'll do one more, maybe two. Yeah, I'll do two similar ones really quick right here. So one is this one right here, which is a great example of like a local business. It's like a cleaning service. It says RoboClean, which my first thought is like maybe it's like one of those like vacuum robot things, but it's not. It's an actual person doing it. And they have a cleaning service in some local areas here. And they say it's for, residential and commercial, and all this stuff right here. And that's all good. And what I would do is I would also make sure to like, I like how you have an easy way where they could reach you, which is the reserve button right there. I would also have an easy way to get a quote, because my guess is the majority of people, like I know I have maid, actually two different maids that do my house. I know Sean has a service that does his house as well, but I'm sure in both of our cases, we probably didn't just make a reservation. We probably wanted a quote first, because the prices can vary big time. So that's what I would have, like maybe have like a button to get like a free, essentially quote. And once they opt in there, you basically ask like maybe a handful of easy questions like, hey, what's the size of your house? What's this? What's that? And either give like an online quote right there, over email, or schedule like an appointment to go out there, something along those lines, rather than just reserve now. I'd also make sure that you have like some like really good testimonials and stuff like that. You might have them somewhere out there, but I'd have them in like a more obvious place right here. Basically talk about how like you're super detailed and stuff like that. Like give all the reasons why you're basically better than the rest of them. The other thing that I would do in your case, which I think is a big thing, is if you're in like more areas than just one small one, like I don't know exactly where you are right here, but I know like around me, you know, there's a main city, but there's also like probably a dozen like suburbs or like basically towns around it that are all within like a half hour that any local business would basically go to. You could start to rank for those individually as well. In fact, I just heard from a lady, I think her name was Rebecca. She was saying that she ranked for like tons and tons of local business terms. I think she said she had over 40 that were #1 on Google, and I think like half as many as more that were basically towards the very top. That all she basically did was she had similar articles and content, and she has changed around essentially the title tags and stuff to have, you know, the localized keywords and stuff, and she was happy that she got ranked for all that right there. So that's something that you could do right there. So have like a separate page for, you know, the local areas there, and also you could have a separate you know, essentially page for each kind of service that you have. Like I see right here, you have you know, domestic cleaning, and you have basically carpet cleaning and all that stuff right there. I would make sure for like the carpet cleaning, like right here, say the locations that you have it in, and make, I mean, I see you say it like some right there, but I'd have it like listed for sure in the title tag and stuff as well if you don't. I mean, yes, really good to have it on the site itself, but also make sure to mention it you know, in the title tags. Make sure to again, maybe give like a rough idea of the costs and stuff, and then give like some way to get like a quote. The other thing that you could think of as well, because it looks like I saw somewhere back here, you said that you do like last minute bookings and stuff like that. Well, one thing that you could do to basically take advantage of a huge, you know, essentially trend is all the people that basically rent out their homes on like Airbnb and HomeAway.com and all those right there. Especially if you're in like a town or city that has like, you know, a lot of people that do that. You could start to rank like for basically terms like Airbnb rental, you know, cleaning services or stuff like that, because there's probably a lot of people that are maybe renting out their place, and most of like the cleaning services out there, a lot of them don't necessarily do like very last minute stuff, or they charge like a fortune. Whereas like if I'm renting a place out, and let's say, you know, I rent it like 5 times in a month, you know, I don't know the exact days that you might have to clean. I don't know any of that. Whereas a lot of places would only do like a set day and stuff. So, you know, there's a lot less competition in that case. So you could try to rank for keywords around that, and probably get not only some extra traffic, but probably super high quality traffic, because anyone looking for like an Airbnb, you know, like essentially a cleaning service, because there's less of them out there, they're more likely to basically use you. And a single deal there, like if there's a place that rents out like 4 or 5 times a month, that's 4 or 5 times job, or four or five times more, you know, essentially jobs per month from a single hit to your site. And if that's each month they use you, again, that's like 60 jobs in a given year for a single house from a single client. That could be a ton of money. So that's stuff that I would definitely try to focus on a bit there. The other thing that you could do as well, if you want to be a bit more proactive, is you could actually go out to like local, like oftentimes on Facebook, there might be like a group or a page devoted to like people that basically rent on Airbnb or stuff like that in your local area. You could sign up there and like mention a service of yours, or even on like sites like Reddit and stuff, there's usually like specific groups in like a local area where they're basically asking for services or stuff, or they're basically talking about you know, experiences with Airbnb and stuff like that. And you can mention and give some useful tips like, hey, you know, I run, you know, let's say like a cleaning service. I do a lot of Airbnbs and, you know, blah, blah. You can get like probably a lot of leads off that, where just like, again, basically taking even like 10 minutes a week to basically answer a couple questions and do some posts and stuff, you could probably get like a steady flow of you know essentially clients off of that. You can also too is if there's certain services that you do that a lot of other cleaning places don't, you can try to rank for some of those as well. Like all of these right here, you could individually try to rank for. Like an idea you have here is like with the maids that I have, they do the laundry and the dishes and basically everything. So it's like super, super, super nice, but there's not a lot of cleaning services around here that advertise that. So you sometimes have to basically ask, but if you were to try to rank for keywords to include some of those extras that you do, you're more likely to get like some of those extras basically popping up. And similar to that, I want to show off one more site because it's similar to this right here. I mean, it's a completely different niche, but let's see, here it is. So it's another site that has like a product or like a service where they have like a lot of different things that they sell. In this case, they sell like hoses. And at first I was like, I didn't quite know what it was, but then once I looked, it's like, hey, they have somewhere, you know, it's basically like a breathing hose that I think it basically pushes air and stuff out. One is like a hot wash hose, which is for like, I think if you want to have like hot water to hose down like a restaurant or even like an RV or stuff like that, like a whole bunch of different hoses that I never knew existed. But once I saw some, I was like, wow, that actually wouldn't be all that bad in this case or that case. And what you can do is like a couple things here. One is, as the hose guy, you probably know way more than almost anyone else on these hoses, and you might have a handful full of clients specifically looking for like just one. Like you might have, you know, a client that says, hey, I need a hot wash hose reel, and in that case you can try to rank for terms like that, like have a page specifically on just that right there, and make sure you have those keywords in, you know, your title. If you're like a localized business, make sure you have localized keywords and stuff like that. But having said that, there's also probably a lot of people that might want this but don't know that they need it yet. For instance, like let's say if this is something like, I don't know offhand because I'm not like, you know, a hose guy, but let's say you have a hose that can get hot water through like an RV. There's probably a lot of RV people that would say, man, that'd be pretty useful to have one of those, like, you know, attached outside or attached somewhere where they could have like a steady flow of hot water, whether to wash themselves outside if they're at like a beach, or whether it's to do whatever else. That, you know, all those people don't know what they're looking for. But if you start to have like maybe like a video showing off like how it's like super easy to like attach to like an RV or whatever the example might be, if you show off an example like that and start to like try to actually hit you know, all those prospects that maybe own an RV or are basically talking in Facebook groups, or maybe you can advertise to like RV owners in like a localized area, and have like a video and you know, have it be like, hey, you know, if you're an RV owner, did you know you can have running hot water basically hooked up to the, you know, outside side of your RV or wherever, you know, it might be, in a matter of like a half hour or whatnot, at like a fraction of the cost that you probably thought. Because like a lot of people probably thought, man, for $330, that's not all that bad to have that. I mean, a lot of people might think, oh man, that's like $1,000 feature to have that all installed and done and, you know, blah blah. But a lot of people, again, that have an RV probably don't know that they have an option of basically doing that stuff right there. And I see here you have like all sorts of specialties here, and each one of these probably has like specific uses and stuff that could be quite neat right here. Like here's basically a garden one, and the gardening stuff is a pretty big niche right there. And like right here, like maybe say like why this is useful, why it's neat, why it's beneficial, why it's basically better than just a standard hose. And it could just be that, hey, this is like super easy to, essentially plug into your water, and hey, it's like super easy to do this or that, and it's much more easy to maintain. But whatever the benefits are, make sure to like really hit home on what those are compared to like a $15 standard like hose. And I'm sure, I mean, lots of these look like they can basically do some pretty neat stuff, but all these you could easily try to rank several different terms for. Even right here, like you have the hot wash hose reel right there, which again, you want to make sure at the very least you basically target that keyword, in your title tag and stuff. But you could have like a separate page for each of these right here. Like a lot of people that might not know what the official names are might search for, hose for factory cleanup, hose for, mortuary, hose for, this or that. And if you were to search for those kinds of keywords, you probably will have little to no competition at all. And you won't necessarily get like a ton of traffic, but if there's like, let's say 15 searches a month in the market that you sell to for a simple term like, hot hose for mortuary or something along those lines, or hose for mortuary, you won't get a lot, but all those people have a specific need that you sell, and you're probably the only one that actually ranks for, or clearly basically targets that keyword, right there. And yeah, that's just a few things that you could basically do off the top of my head right there. I mean, Sean, did you have any thoughts on this one or the last one? Then we'll.
Well, not the last one, but on this one, I've now learned more about hoses than I ever wanted to know. But it's important because what Brian says is at the end there is really important, which is that, when you have a person who's in the industry and they know what a hot wash hose reel is, and they're looking for it, that's great. Okay, but there's a huge amount of business to be gotten from, in most industries, from people who don't have any idea what there actually is. Because honestly, I mean, I look at this and like, oh, this looks really cool, and then I look and I see, hey, it costs $330. I'm like, what, are you kidding me? I'm not spending $330 because I'm not your customer. I don't need this in my house, right? I don't have any need for this. But in a commercial application, then people are going to be interested in that. But for all the companies that are like, hey, we need one of those things that you can use to do a lot of spraying and it's heavy duty and it lasts for a long time, right? Well, if they don't know what it is, then they're going to start typing in all kinds of weird stuff, or or they'll type in the question like, what's the best kind of hose to do this, right? And if you have those answers, that's one of the biggest things when you're trying to sell products is people type in questions like, what is a hot wash hose reel, or when should I use a hot wash hose reel? If you have those questions answered on your blog so it can rank for that question, or on a separate page on your website, then you're going to pick up traffic and people that you never ever expected, because all you got to do is put that stuff up once, and get it ranked, obviously, by getting some minimal links to it, because there's probably not a lot of people who have actually taken the time to write up these things. And it doesn't matter. I mean, if it's how to get squirrels out of your attic in Atlanta, Georgia, right? There's somebody who's going to type in that question and want to know that the different ways they can do that. All right. So think about how you can get easy buyers from the people that are not necessarily the industry people, because the industry people that find your site are going to know what all those specs mean and everything else. But for the rest of us, if I just happen to have a warehouse building I needed to wash down however often or something, and we needed to hose things down, and we wanted to buy one of those things, I mean, If I went to your site and you explained to me what it was and told me why this one is the best, I just buy it and move on. And Brian, I think we need to probably wrap up.
Yep. So with that right there, I know we've been basically answering a lot of questions in the chat and such. And a great thing, guys, that you can do is that if there's any questions that you have that like we didn't have time to basically get to, I think we got to most of them, but a lot of the sites we didn't have all the time for, you can actually go to our free Facebook group, which is just if you basically go to getwebfire.com/FB group, you will go to a page I'll show you in a second here. I'll just pause the screen as I pulled the page up really quick right here. You can go to this page that you see right here. Again, that's just getwebfire.com/FB group. And if you post, any sort of like, essentially questions you want, or if there's like a site that you want us or members to basically look at, it's a great way to get lots of feedback and stuff like that. Or if you're looking for like basically marketing tips, like I see, there was a question here where a person asked how to get leads for a certain kind of business. I could basically talk on for basically ages on how, but a lot of the tips that we basically gave on the prior sites, you can apply to yours. Just kind of change, like, instead of basically going towards like, a group of people that like, let's say, RVs, you'd go towards a group of people that like the topic that you're interested in. But if you want like specific tips that we didn't have time to basically cover on here, just feel free to ask any of those basically kinds of essential questions you want here, and we'll definitely answer them. And it's a great way to also get feedback from the rest of the group as well right there. So we kind of ran out of time right here, but any questions that are left, again, feel free to send it in to us at either support@webfire.com or basically post it here. And with that, if you want a chance to win $100, here is how. About an hour ago, Sharon did this post right here. You see it's almost at the very top. It's not the first one, it's the second one from the very top, basically asking what you thought on today's call. If you leave any comment at all, we will pick a winner in about like a minute. So make sure that you just click on the comment right here and leave any comment, and it can be any thought you had on the call. It can be a suggestion for like a future call, anything like that. If you have a question in the future on like your site or like a marketing question, you can just do a new post on it. So just write it kind of up there as a new post. It's easier to see if you write a question there versus if it's like a question within like another post. So let's keep that in mind. In about a minute, we will pick a winner. All right, and with that, I'll try to go through some of the questions here. All right, so one of them was how would they get leads for something in the NLP field or the hypnotherapy field? Well, it's the same way that you get leads for almost anything else. Like, first, have a compelling offer for someone to sign up for. In that case, it might be, learn the 3 secret tricks or methods to, basically do this or that with hypnotherapy or NLP. Like, have it be related to that. Like, learn the 3, essentially tricks on how to either hypnotize a person or how to convince a person to do whatever you want, or something along those lines right there. You probably know the field better than me, so have a very straightforward offer, a very compelling offer. And then as far as how to get the leads, there's a bunch of different ways. Well, on the paid ad side, you could run basically paid ads to an opt-in page and get those leads very, very quickly. You could also run, we also do a lot of essentially giveaways, which is we have an offer where there's like a contest for something for free. So something related to the niche that you're in for free, you basically give out, not to everyone, but just as like a contest. Like, you'll pick like a winner. And then you'll have a lot of leads that will sign up for very, very cheaply off of the paid leads, and you could quickly and easily build a list off that, and then basically offer them whatever your pitch might be after that. The other thing is you could basically join like Facebook groups and stuff that are on the topic. You could also join basically groups related to the field but not in the field. Like for instance with NLP, maybe there's a Facebook group on speakers where maybe you think speakers would be a great, essentially target to learn NLP or something along those lines. And you could start to give basically tips on that. You can also use some of the lead software tools inside of Webfire to find lots of people asking basically questions on that or basically talking about that. You can even use like the ranked lead finder to kind of siphon traffic off of page one. You could use the real-time or the Q&A lead finder to find lots of people asking questions on that. I mean, all sorts of things that you can do there to like start to slowly get a bunch of traffic heading your way. You can even use like the tweet lead finder on that, and you can also start to do some keyword research and write a bunch of blog posts on the keywords related to your niche that basically give you a higher chance of ranking. So there's a bunch of different ways that you can get all the traffic there, but I'd start with like making sure you have a very compelling offer to start with, because once you have that, the rest of it basically becomes like 10 times easier. Trust me on that. So once you have a good offer, the rest of it is way more easy. And all right. So with that, let's give some money away. So I'm going to refresh the screen. I'll give you guys maybe 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. Just see this by chance any posted. Outside. All right. All right. So it looks like, again, let's see, we have 19 in there. Looks like 2 posted basically twice accidentally. All right, so what I'll do, so it looks like this is a clone right here. So I'll basically count that as 1. Just to make it fair. And let's see, so 19, we have really 18 instead of 19. So we'll count basically the accidental double post as 1. So I think you have the greatest chances of any call that we have here, probably because there was a time change, I'm guessing, in London. So I'm guessing a handful of people will show up late, which they are. It looks like someone's still basically typing. I'll give you 5 seconds to wrap up the comment you have there, whoever's typing. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, so there's basically 20. So really that would be 19 with the double one there. All right, let's go 1 to 19 right here. Click on generate. 7.
Oh, I was right this time.
That's my favorite number. All right, let's see who 7 is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. 3. Yep. So Dale Maxwell, if this is you and you have 43 friends, you'll probably have another now, because Sharon will give you $100, so she can be your 44th friend right there. But to do so, you have to make sure to basically type in your PayPal email address in the chat box right now, and Sharon will get you paid probably within like a half hour or so. So as soon as you basically post up your PayPal email, she will send you over $100. So once more, congratulations to Dale Maxwell for being this call's $100 winner. And with that, anyone else that has any questions or anything like that, again, you can always write us at support@webfire.com, or you can also just leave a post up in here, which is just get Webfire FB group. Just leave any question you want. If it's like a tech thing, like you lost a password, we just ask that you don't write those here. Just write the support on that. If it's like a marketing question or anything like that, feel free to ask us here, and we'll either answer you on email or here. So with that, thanks for all that have joined. If your site was not officially reviewed, we will save some for a future call, and you'll have tons of opportunities to basically do so. And of course, you can also always basically post your site here, and we're happy to give you feedback and stuff there as well. So with that, we'll talk to you guys later, and any questions, again, let us know, and hope you guys have a great rest of the week and a great Halloween to those who celebrate. Have a great week, guys. We'll talk to you later.